Hi, this is Billie Beene here with a Truth by Billie Beene flash update. December 2nd, 2024, time in Texas about 7 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover. A new sheriff in town released the hostages. And what about the J-6'ERS? Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot, Subscriber, NBC News, Alexander MERCOURIS, LA Times, New York Prepper, AP, and Newsweek. So let's get started. So we have this, Kash Patel, President Trump's nominee to head up the FBI. Kash Patel, so nominee for FBI director. I'd written a book a few years ago, Government Gangsters. And some of the people he has on his list who are potential candidates for Kash Patel once he's firmly in the saddle as the FBI director to investigate include Lloyd Austin, currently Secretary of Defense. Bill Barr, formerly an AG under President Trump in his first term. John Bolton, also at one time an advisor to President Trump in his first term. JB. John Brennan, former CIA director. Merrick Garland, currently JB's AG and the Department of Defense, and also Jake Sullivan, currently JB's National Security Advisor. And we say, bring it. Now we have this. During the Obama years, Obama did everything he could as a good deep state puppet to destroy the U.S. military, including taking the Navy down to the lowest level it had been at since 1917. One of the repercussions is coming out from Mail M's What's Up with Shipping site, including a problem with the only oiler or the only ship that can fuel the, in this case, the Abraham Lincoln carrier in the Middle East. The Bighorn, called an oiler, has run aground. So there are problems there. This happened September of 2024 near Oman. And the Navy just doesn't have resources. Of course, they're getting other ships there, but they're very tight on refueling ships, all due to Obama obeying his deep state masters destroy the U.S. military. LA Times. President Trump has come out with this statement. Release the hostages. This is a message to Hamas. Hostages that were taken October 7 of 2023. And this came about when President Trump saw a video of a dual citizen, U.S., American, and Israeli IDF soldier who had been taken hostage by Hamas on a video, and he was clearly under duress, meaning he was being tortured. But this soldier, Edon Alexander, asked for President Trump's help in getting the hostages released. Also recently, President Trump released this statement about release the hostages immediately. A few hours after it was determined, also an American Israeli citizen held hostage had passed away, Omar Natra. President Trump then came out, this is breaking news, reported by the LA Times, making a public statement to Hamas, release the hostages immediately and do it before he is sworn in January 20 of 2025. Otherwise, those responsible will be hit harder than the U.S. has ever done before in its history. Release the hostages now. So that's going on. And we have some information from Alexander MERCOURIS, a UK journalist. This is about a phone call between the leader of Qatar and the leader of Iran. So we know we've had this situation going on in Syria, which is a coup attempt by the U.S. It's not involving President Trump or his people. JB's group, the U.S., Israel, and Turkey, they are trying to overthrow the government of President Assad of Syria. So, recently in a phone call between the leader of Iran and Qatar, it's coming out that Qatar works for peace in the Middle East and is particularly pursuing peace in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. And this was between the Emir of Qatar and the leader of Iran, President Pezeshkian, who support President Assad in Syria. And the Middle East nations are now coming forth and making statements they do not support what's going on in Syria, put forth by certain segments of the U.S. government, Israel, and Turkey. So we see the Middle East wants peace. And we have this recent interview by Judge Napolitano of Scott Ritter and NBC News. So this is one of the reasons. So we have this coup going on in Syria, a coup. And recently, we saw a ceasefire in Lebanon put forth by Israel. And now, this is coming out. Israel needed the ceasefire so they could proceed with being involved in this coup in Syria. And we have this. We have, Scott Ritter is reporting, a former minister of defense in Israel, Moshe Ya'alon, has made public statements and states that he is speaking on behalf of IDF, the Israeli Defense Force commanders in the Gaza area, who are putting forth that Benjamin Netanyahu is guilty of war crimes in Gaza and also ethnic cleansing. Moshe Ya'alon says this poses danger for the IDF soldiers and could possibly put the IDF soldiers in a potential position to also be charged with war crimes. Yes, and Moshe Ya'alon, a former minister of defense for Israel, says Israel is doing this because it seeks to annex land, and that will be land in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, and Syria. The last part I'm adding. But he did say that the Israeli government is taking these actions in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, so as a land grab. And we have this. Thousands of allied troops with Russia are now coming forth to help President Assad in Syria. And this includes Russia, Iran, Iraq, and other Middle Eastern nations. And Lebanon. The Wagner Russian group are also in Syria. Russia is bringing in drone operators to use drones against the insurgents in Syria. That would be against the U.S., Israel, and Turkey. Against the U.S. proxy, and also the U.S. has Ukrainian troops also in Syria fighting against the Syrian government in an attempt to overthrow the legitimate government of Syria. So we need to be in prayer, and we unfortunately are going to have to bide our time until President Trump is inaugurated. New York Prepper comes out with this. The U.S. and Finland is practicing dropping nukes from B-52s. This is being announced by the U.S. Air Force on November 25. And the U.S. is practicing with Finland and Sweden. We also have this. Russia's objectives with regard to Ukraine include Russia would keep all of its annexed territories where the citizens of Ukraine voted to become a part of Russia. Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson, Crimea also. And that the Ukraine would not join NATO, and that there would be changes within the Ukraine government according to Istanbul Accords. And he states this: no freezing of the front line. This freezing of the front line, it's believed to be one of the parts that President Trump's envoy to the Middle East, retired General Kellogg, would put forth. But Russia is already coming out and saying no freezing of the front line. So that's going on. And it's being confirmed that Russia is in control of Donbass and is moving north to take control of additional territory. Now we have this about the pardon of JB to Hunter Biden. And JB says the charges against Hunter, you know, his laptop, tax charges, drug charges, JB says are politically motivated. President Trump's response, politically motivated. What about the J-6'ERS who have been held in jail for years? Clearly, they are in jail due to politically motivated charges. So that's going on. And now we have this. In Maine, author Stephen King, 77, author of such books as The Shining, has owned 3 rock and roll radio stations in Maine, but he is getting out of the radio business. His CEO says it's an era that's ending, where there are locally owned radio stations. So yes, And we, the people of America, look forward to a new era for America. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.